Hello and welcome to this second session of Trail of Cthulhu. Trail of Cthulhu is the second gumshoe game after not Fear itself. No, Esoterrorists. Esoterrorists was the first, and then Trail of Cthulhu. And this is an adaptation of the gumshoe mystery RPG, that sort of core system to Lovecraftian mysteries, and to bring that like a decade further on than, say, Call of Cthulhu were in the 1930s. We are playing a slightly adapted version of it. I've cut a couple of corners in terms of consolidating some skills, and we're also taking a page from recent Pelgrane products like the Cthulhu 1-to-1 and the Yellow King to put our investigative skills into groups and pushes, which are spent from those rather than on a purely individual level. So if you know Gumshoe, if you know Trail of Cthulhu and you're listening to us and you're like, what is going on? That's what's going on. That's why it's weird. But it's pretty close to the base game, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. What we're going to do today is talk about our lines and veils. We're going to have our characters introduce themselves, and then we're going to kind of take a step forward in terms of where we are character-wise, and explaining like what's the deal, like what did we find out last time. So before I get too much further, because I'm already starting to babble, my name is Lowell, pronouns he him, and this session is part of the Gauntlet Gaming Calendar, which is an online gaming club / community, and you can find out more about that at gauntlet-rpg.com. We are using a set of layered tools for safety in this game, as we do for all Gauntlet games. And let me kind of walk through quickly what those are. We are using, of course, the X card and the open door policy. And then we have hard lines on a number of things. Harm to animals, harm to children, homophobia, racism, sexual assault, slavery, torture, plant-themed horror, and a PC mind control. And I'll be coming back to the racism question in a sec. It is one of those things that we're not having as a sort of an active issue present in the game, even though it is like deep entrenched in the thing. But we're not leaning into that. But I'm going to talk about that a little bit more here in a second. We also have veils on dental horror, eye injuries, graphic gore, sexual content, and then ask firsts. Nobody's marked any ask firsts on those things. So let me have us go around and have everyone give the elevator pitch on their characters, the 1 minute pitch, so we know who everybody is before we roll too much forward. Let's start. We'll do one step over on the character keeper, and we will start with Sarah Jenkins. Mike, can you give us the quick character rundown of who you are?
Sure. Well, I'm Mike. My pronouns are he, him, and I'll be playing Sarah Jenkins, whose pronouns are she, her. Sarah is a journalist for a mid-tier New York City newspaper. I don't think we set the name of it yet, but we'll figure that out in play. She's very curious. She was running an investigative journalism piece on charlatans who were cheating people who were down on their luck out of their money, and actually came across someone who is not a charlatan. And in the course of her journalism, she actually saw some like actual real supernatural stuff, including she really saw some ghosts. And ever since then, she's kind of been doing a bit of a side gig on paranormal investigation. She isn't particularly vocal about that in her normal circles because she doesn't want to get branded as a crank.
Awesome. I think that gives us a good sense of who you are. Next, we have Harold Harry Brown.
Hi, I'm Agatha, and my pronouns are she, her, and I'm playing Harry, or full name Harold Brown, but everyone calls him Harry. Pronouns are he, him. He is supposed to be an antiquarian and antiques dealer. Knows both the sketchier side of town and also the rich people who can actually afford the antiques. I have been playing him as a kind of pretty sketchy man, but I do want to highlight that he also has a very high stat in fleeing, so is also cowardly. And so if anything happens, he's looking out for number one.
So not just a charlatan, but also a coward. Okay, that is a good combination. That allows for your character to potentially live longer. That brings us to Woodrow Hicks.
Hi, my name is John. My pronouns are he, him. I'm playing Woodrow Hicks, also he, him pronouns. Woodrow is an astronomer who works at the very newly opened Hayden Planetarium. He is also secretly a communist. I don't think very many people at all know that about him. He is his sort of stable person in his life is his boss, George, at the planetarium. And he's motivated by a thirst for knowledge. So he really wants to uncover things about the occult, maybe in the interest of helping aid social progress.
Excellent. And that brings us to Olena.
Yes, I am Jesse. My pronouns are he and him. And I am playing Olena Zlenko, whose pronouns are she and her. So Olena is a Ukrainian anarchist. She fought under Nestor Makhno in the Black Army during the Russian Revolution. But when that fell apart in the early 20s, she sort of bummed around Ukraine and, the various different Eastern European socialist republics for a few years, blowing shit up until she decided to leave for the States. Foolishly, very, very shortly after the gates of immigration were mostly closed. So she's here now. She works as a criminal. Basically thug for hire. She still believes in revolution. And I think she saw some stuff, some creatures, otherworldly creatures, and spirits and powers, both during the revolution and after. And so she's sort of like aware. She was aware of the occult, and I don't know exactly when this happened, before or after she came to the States, but she thinks she can harness it. She thinks it's, the same way she takes her highest skill is explosives. The same way she takes chemicals and incendiary devices and packs them places, and they're very dangerous, but they can be used productively to further the revolution against the state. She could do the same thing with the occult, and so her drive is arrogance, and that's pretty much her deal. I don't think there's anything else there. Yeah.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So let me give the very quick then rundown of what has happened so far in our first session after we kind of did our connections. Our group was, it somehow came together. We did a little bit of that bridge building between them. And you were hired to investigate the vanishing of one Aliquin Hurt, a young man who apparently had some interest in the occult, and you were able to garner some addresses and things like that. However, you were suspicious of the person who hired you, John Brayers, and you put the pinch on him to kind of give you some information, and found out that in fact Brayers was acting as a middleman. And there's another guy named Frank Strauss, who you also have a picture of in the NPC tab, that is the real person behind this. You followed a couple of different directions. You know that there was something going on with the Red Hook area and the incidents that had occurred like a decade ago, which is something we're going to come back to in a second. You knew that there was an apartment for Aliquin that could be investigated. And you also knew that Aliquin had been investigating some things over at the college. So there were various leads that were followed up on. Where we ended last time was with our characters split up in completely different areas from one another, completely isolated from one another. So that put a smile on my face. So on the one hand, our academic investigator, Woodrow Hicks, found out about Aliquin kind of looking into some things, and found out that Aliquin, his sort of next step had been going to talk to a particular professor of architecture, kind of a weird turn, after Aliquin had investigated some local events and stories and things like that about what had happened 10 plus years ago. At the same time as that, our intrepid reporter, Sarah Jenkins, had headed to Hert's apartment and had talked her way in and was looking around there and found some strange things there, including some like physical manifestations of things in the glass of the apartment, as well as the distinct smell of decaying corpse, not coming from that apartment, but from next door. And there are a few other details that were picked up in that. The biggest thing being is that when we left, there were two heavies who had gotten out of a car outside who'd been watching for someone to enter that apartment, and are now, even as we speak, making their way up the steps towards that apartment, having been alerted that somebody is in there. So that's another issue that's sitting there. And then we have Elena and Harry, who were engaged in a conversation back and forth with Vesel Kilik, who is a Turkish dealer in antiquities, not entirely unlike Harry, but with a certain different bent. And Vesel was providing some information, particularly looking at what was going on with Aliquin Hurt and what was going on really. So one of the things that I want to do here is, Jesse kind of suggested this as maybe pulling back some of the curtain here on how, in terms of some of the stories about race that are in Lovecraft, one of the things I referenced last time is Red Hook, which leads to some of the stories in Lovecraft. One that's is a particularly unpleasant one, with a lot of racial connotations and things like that. And I've been kind of referencing it, to maybe pull back the sheet. But I'm pulling back the sheet now, as Jesse suggested, to kind of tell you, to show you what's going on with that story, why it's not leaning into that Lovecraftian side of unpleasantness here. So I just want to kind of say that is what is going on with that. And I want to set out sort of what Vesel is about to give you, the narrative of what's going on. And then feel free, if you want to X card or you want to roll back or change anything, please feel free to do that. I'm kind of throwing this out here right now, something I'd set up, but I want to get it out on the table. So I hope that's okay. Okay. And please do, if you need me to stop or anything like that, just feel free to do that. But let's start with Wiesel talking with Elena and Harry, and kind of looking. And he says, so you two are following in Hert's footsteps? You're following what he was looking into? Because he came to me for information. I just want to check.
We're following him.
Is that the way you see it, Harry?
Yeah, I think when Olena says that, then I'm like,
so let me tell you a story, because it may provide some clue as to what Hert's involved in. I hope you will bear with me. I don't know how familiar you are with the Turks, with my people. There was a change of rulership, of administration of the people back before the 1920s. I don't know if you know who Kemal Ataturk is. He revolutionized Turkey, and he made it a Western state. He overturned the old Ottoman empires and old processes, and he modernized. And that also meant that a lot of people got kicked out of Turkey, and a lot of people left. In fact, you may not know this, but the Western forces actually attacked Turkey at that point, trying to overturn Kemal Ataturk. And there were a number of Turkish people allied with the old administration who aided the Allies, were given quite a bit of money. And then when they lost, they fled to the West with a lot of money. It is these people, wealthy people, who brought things with them, old practices. And it is these people who began to work to buy favor and to organize people into certain buildings in Red Hook, offering them livelihood, offering them comfort, offering them safety, that this would be a good place for them. But that's not what these people wanted. These people wanted a sacrifice. These were the people who would, some of them would eventually be this cult of the Thousand Hands. But they went there, they brought immigrants into these buildings, and they set things up, and then they spread rumors about cults and dirty foreigners and all of that. And they got the police to storm the building. And hundreds of people died, and the building came down. And that's why they did it, was to power the sacrifice. But many of their own people died during this because there was someone else behind it. Someone else, another group, bankrollers, financiers. And so the cult hoped to gain great power out of this, but they in turn were squashed. This is what I told Hurt. Hurt had found the survivors of this, like these wealthy people who had managed to wake their way out, had now made up this new reconstituted cult of the Thousand Hands. But I told Hurt that they weren't the only ones, that this cult wasn't the only ones, that there were others that were here. And that is what Hurt was looking into. The cult of the Thousand Hands, and then the group who was really behind that massacre, behind that sacrifice.
Eh. Well, I think we've gotten ourselves into a pickle.
I have pickles. Perhaps.
Pickle, please.
Oh yeah. He goes and fetches another box of cigarettes and a jar of pickles, and he says, "Now, you asked about what Hurt came to me for 2 days ago. Why he came here to me at that point, and what he asked me for when he was panicked, right? And I'm going to come back to you guys for him to finish off that story in just a moment. Let's come to Sarah. Sarah, I would like you to make a sense trouble roll.
Okay. Do I have an idea what the target is, or is that a
Yeah,
or do
I think this is probably right now, because you're a little nervous, you're a little on edge, and because these guys are not particularly good, I think we're difficulty 3 right now.
difficulty 3? So that means if I spend 2 points, that means it's going to be an automatic success.
Yes.
I will then spend 2 points.
Okay. Let's have you roll. Because if you get a good enough roll, you can get a benefit.
Sure. Let me find the die roller. There we are. Okay.
So that's a 7, right?
No, that looked.
You rolled a 5, and then.
Oh yeah. I was
Yeah.
looking at the wrong place.
So.
Oh yeah, I forgot to add the 2 there. So yes, that's a 7.
You're going to get a benefit in that I'm going to give you ample chance to react here before you hear footsteps coming up the hall, like up the stairs and up the hall, and they stop, and there's that, like, they're just starting to like jiggle the door handle, like they don't want to make too much noise, but you're well aware that somebody is about to try and come into this apartment, and they're not knocking.
So question, and I would have known this since I've been poking around here a little bit. Does this apartment have like a balcony? I was thinking if it had a balcony, what I'd try to do is go out onto the balcony and maybe try to, like, defy some danger. Well, that's the wrong game, but defy some danger and, like, climb over onto the neighbor's balcony.
There's more that, you're on the second floor.
Okay.
So there probably is like a ledge more than anything else. You could try and go
out the window on the ledge.
Yeah, and get over to the neighbor's apartment.
Yeah, and that's where that death smell was coming, correct?
That is, yes. I think I mentioned.
Yeah, I'm gonna go investigate. I'm gonna go out on the ledge, and I'm going to like go over to the see if I can get into the other apartment.
Okay.
But at least while these guys are in here, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be on the ledge, and so they're hopefully not gonna see me.
All right. I think the bigger danger here is being spotted rather than kind of dropping down the fall there. I think that's the bigger danger right now. So I'm going to let you.
I was going to say, it's only 2 stories up. It's,
Yes.
hold on. Or before hold on, I just want to check lines and veils before I make a comment. Okay. It doesn't look like I'm not high up enough that I'd be a jumper. So
Right. No, so I think it's stealth that this role is going to be.
okay.
And I think that we're talking difficulty 4 here, 4 or better.
Okay. So I would need to spend, so if I spend 3 points, that's going to be an auto success.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to do that.
Okay.
So let's roll. So let's roll again. So that's a D6 plus 3.
So
Okay.
yeah. So you're out, you put your foot over and kind of slide that window back closed quietly, and you will make your way over to this other window. And I think you'll notice that this window has, in a different place, that same distortion of that sort of bubbled glass. But you'll be able to reach down and pull the window open. And, as soon as it's opened, hot New York summer, you'll get that smell. And you hear the buzzing. And you'll kind of slide in there. And, we can see it out of the corner. You can see there's a body there.
Okay.
What do you want to do? You hear like that door come open next door, and then you hear some conversation, and those 2 guys are clearly in that apartment looking.
I'm going to, first of all, in the apartment that I'm in. First thing I'm going to do is open up my purse and pull out a handkerchief, put it over my nose to help. Maybe there's maybe there's a small dab of cologne on this handkerchief to try to drown out the horrific smell. I'm then going to quietly draw the curtains.
Okay.
Then I'm going to investigate this body.
All right. Would you please mark a point of stability?
Mark a point of stability. Okay. So that goes down. So that goes down.
Current goes down by 1. Essentially, okay. You are investigating this a couple of days old corpse, hot here in this apartment. What do you have that's appropriate to looking at this, do you think?
Well, I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out my I'm going to take out my small camera.
Okay.
Because they do it at the, in the 30s they had, in the movies you see the reporters with a big large format cameras.
Yeah.
They had 35 millimeter cameras in the 30s. So I'm going to take out my 35 millimeter and flip up the rangefinder, and I'm going to take I'm going to take maybe 3 photographs of the body.
Okay. Yeah. You can certainly get the plates for that.
I'm probably just I'm probably shooting on Kodak. Shooting on Kodak. Standard Kodak black and white film. So take a few photos of that, and then I think I'm gonna look around and see what I can see. What basically I have. Okay, what I'm fishing for, I have the evidence collection. Investigative skill. So I'm gonna see what I can find.
Yeah, let's have you make a spend from that.
Okay. I have made a spend. I've made a spend from my technical pool.
So you've got the photographs. You can show those to somebody else. This is the medical sort of forensic stuff is not your forte, and it's pretty horrific in here right now. But you will see a couple of other spots, like on the wall, where the wallpaper and wood has kind of bubbled, not dissimilar to what that happened to that glass. You'll find a couple of spots like that scattered around the room. And you will also find some books here that have Hertz bookplate in them, as if the neighbor has borrowed some of Hertz books. And in fact, you'll find one of them kind of like a book of Arthur Machen's poetry lying next to this corpse on the couch there.
I think I'm going to grab whatever books I find that appear to be Hertz. And I don't think I have I don't have a bag or I've got she's got her hand. Oh, I think she's got kind of like a large, I think she lugs around a large handbag with miscellaneous stuff. How many books are we talking?
Oh, let's say 3.
Okay, I'm going to take the 3 books. I'm just going to stuff them in my handbag to examine later.
And I think you'll definitely put the date of death, given that the calendar hasn't moved forward, as 3 days ago for this body.
Okay. Will do.
Does that sound like fair info?
That sounds like fair info. And then I think what the rest of the thing I'll do is I'll get close to the door, back into the hallway. I'll get a glass, I'll put a glass against the wall, put my ear against it, and I'm going to basically listen to. I'm basically going to wait for the people who are in the apartment who are in Hertz's apartment to leave, and then once I'm pretty sure they're gone, then I'm going to get out of there.
You go downstairs, go talk to the super, find out who that was. Here's some money. Buy it from him if you have to.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's what you're hearing from next door. They're saying, and then the other guy goes, "What are you going to do?" He says, "I'm going to go call Marianne and tell her that somebody was in Hertz's apartment. He's still not here." Okay. And you'll hear them, kind of, they've clearly looked around the apartment to make sure that you weren't in there. And you'll hear the sound of them heading back downstairs. One of them clearly going back out onto the street, and the other one stopping to talk to the super. Remind me, what was the cover that you used? I can't remember if you went as a family member or if you went in as a journalist.
I went in as a journalist.
Okay.
I went in as a journalist that I was doing a story.
Okay. So he's going to go downstairs and get your journalist and get your name from the super after handing him $1. But we'll come back on that. Mr. Hicks, Woodrow.
Yes.
So you had indicated that you were going to head over to talk to this person in the architecture department, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Can I have you make a sense trouble roll?
Oh, that's the one thing I'm really good at.
This is difficulty 4, probably not expecting to be tailed.
So I put a ton of points. That can I spend 3 points to succeed?
Yeah, you can spend it. You can spend 3 points and then roll and possibly get a benefit.
Cool, I will do that. And where's the roll thing? Here it is. Okay. And is just 1d6?
Yes.
I rolled a 2.
Okay, so you definitely make it, but not like super high to get a benefit. But I think that as you come out of this building and you are starting across campus, there is a guy who maybe you remember seeing when you were heading inside, who's looks older, like maybe he's a professor, but he's not dressed like nice enough to be a professor, and he's certainly not a student. But he does that thing where he's got his paper, and then when you come out, he waits a bit, and then he's shadowing you, and clearly following you to see where you're headed. What do you want to do?
Oh gosh. Well, I think I just want to continue going to the architecture professor, because I'm not really sure like that I can lose this person and still, hang around the university. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to continue on.
So you walk across. You go into the building, that big stone hall, echoey footsteps. As you come in, he clearly follows at a distance and then is trying to figure out where to kind of put himself to watch you. But you look at the board, you see this guy's office is up on the second floor, and we'll head up there.
I think actually maybe I will just like try and double back and see if I can get the person to leave just by like turning around at some point, like on the way up the stairs.
Okay. I think that is either going to be stealth or shadowing.
Not good at. Oh, I have some points in stealth. I can do stealth.
Okay. It's a big area. He's going to have kind of trouble tracking you, so I don't think it's going to be that difficult to kind of lose him, especially because he's not aware that you know he's not aware that you know. So let's say difficulty 3.
Okay, so I could spend 2 points again.
You could absolutely spend 2 points.
All right, I'll do that. Yeah. Roll. Oh, I rolled a 6.
Okay. So yeah, you can like lose this guy, kind of see him get frustrated. He kind of follows you out, and I think you'll see him walk over to where there's another car, and leans in to talk to somebody. And I think you can get the license plate in that car.
Oh, great. That was my next question.
Yeah, I think with that roll, you can absolutely get that and then fall back into the building and head on up to this architecture professor's office. And you will knock. And how do you present yourself?
I think I'm just going to, I'm not going to try and do any deception. I think I'll just play it straight and say I'm looking for Alkman Hurt, and what is he even up to, stuff like that. He's missing.
Oh, it's the young man who came by a few days ago.
Yes, I was told he came by to see you.
Yes. It's not often I get people coming in out of the blue, but he asked me about a particular building and an architect.
Was the building by any chance in Brooklyn?
It's closer to the gas house district than that. It says, yeah, he is actually interesting. It's, I don't know if you've seen it. It's not quite completed yet. It's the Coleman building that's going up.
I see.
It's a very strange building. They hired a woman architect, which is kind of unusual. And she did a striking job, and the building is quite interesting. It almost changes styles as it goes up. But I wonder what it'll be like when it's completed. But as I told Hurt, that architect went missing, as I understand it, shortly after they started work on the building.
And do you happen to know this architect's name?
Oh, absolutely. I had met her a couple of times. It sticks with you. There aren't many women doing architecture here in the States, unless they're out in Frank Lloyd Wright's circles. He's tutoring a lot of women. Her name is Shelley Fontaine.
Fontaine. I see. And do you have any idea why Mr. Hurt may have been interested in this particular building and this particular architect, aside from, the fact that it's a little bit unusual, the style of the building?
I don't know. He certainly had a notebook. He seemed like he might have been a reporter or something. He certainly was looking at his notes as he was asking me these questions.
I see. Well, thank you for your time. That's very helpful.
Well, that's not a problem. I'm glad to be of assistance. Can I ask why you're looking for Mr. Hurt?
Mr. Hurt has gone missing, and his family is a little bit concerned and would like to find him. And sometimes we look into matters like this, me and some of my associates. So this is why we're inquiring.
Oh, excellent. Well, I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. You too, sir.
And we will cut back to the sound of crunching pickles and Elena and Harry. And your associate Vasil says, Hurt came to me a few days ago. He said that someone had let loose something to hunt him. I asked him how he knew. He said he had seen some signs, but he didn't have a good enough description to give me that I could offer him anything to deal with it. I certainly wouldn't put it outside the realm of possibility from the Cult of the Thousand Hands that they would send something after him if he had drawn their attention or betrayed them. But as I couldn't provide that, he asked me for some other materials. Ritual things, objects, materials, and so on, that if one were looking to open a gate beyond this world, this is what you would use. And that's what he took away from me here, those materials. And I believed he planned to use that for some purpose.
A gate beyond to where?
That I could not say. It's the kind of thing he would need to go to a place that was prepared for it to be able to use these materials.
Did he say what would be on the other side?
He didn't. I think he was so in fear for his life, he was willing to do anything to escape from it. Hopefully, have whatever it was that was sent after him lose his scent.
Oh, so he wanted to be. He wasn't trying to bring something here. He wanted to go there.
That's my impression. Harry, have I done well by you?
Certainly worth the money. Out a very stained handkerchief and just.
He says, now, so I hope that the next time that you have maybe maybe something that you don't particularly want to deal with, that you want to have someone else handle for you, you'll come to me, and I'll help you out with that. Does that seem good?
Yes. I will definitely keep this in mind. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you,
Excellent.
Vasil.
Well, I wish you luck finding Aliquin. I think he's a foolish young man who has clearly put himself in the path of danger. But he was always generous to me when he came asking for information. So I would hate to see him never return.
I'm sad losing a good customer.
This is the too tragic story. Well, it was a pleasure to meet you, Miss Elena.
Thank you. Nice meeting you as well. With a look on my face that makes it clear that it was not particularly nice meeting him.
Absolutely. That he nods as if to say, oh, I'm glad you're leaving my store.
Just Harry, did you have anything else you wanted to do here?
No.
So I just wanted the image. I've still got that box with the knife of sauce on my lap, right?
Yeah.
I like get up, tuck it under my arm, and just like walk out with it as if it's my box. I imagine Harry's walking with me. Harry, are you like me? This is like just as we're leaving, right? I don't know, Harry. You should decide what you're doing, but this is it's like it's part of the process of getting up and going. It's just there, tucked under my arm.
Harry, I'll send you a bill.
I look over at Elena. Yep, you know where to bill me.
And he will nod as the two of you head out.
Oh, and it completely ignores that entire conversation.
Oh yeah. You have this nice ritual knife in your hands now.
He wasn't using it.
Neither will I be.
No, but I might.
So, do you two have someplace else you want to go from here, or shall we kind of move to bring the group back together?
I think I want to try to go meet up with the rest.
Yeah.
Okay. Then let's assume that arrangement has been made for like a mid-afternoon meetup at a midtown diner. That cars are driven, taxis are taken.
Ooh, can it be at the automat?
Okay, absolutely. Nice automat.
Or at the Horn and Hard Art.
Nice, white tables, and go over and get your things out of the little cabinets there. So automat is those places that have essentially just big walls of vending with the food in them. These were the height of.
They were it was the height of modernity. They were super popular in the 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
But yeah,
people would load them up, and
people would load them up from behind, and they had like glass, they like little glass oven doors, but they were coin operated. You put your like nickel or dime in, and you'd open it up, and you'd take out the hot bowl of soup, or the plate of mashed potatoes, or the sliced pot roast with gravy, or or in the refrigerated a dish of ice cream.
I stuck a picture in the chat. A link to a picture
yeah.
if people are.
There's a scene in an automat in the movie Dark City. That's pretty cool. So we will see the four of you meet up at this place, grab yourself a late lunch, and can share information. Let's start with you, Sarah, when the four of you meet up.
Well, so I went over to I went over to Hert's apartment, talked my way into his apartment, poked around a little bit, found a few things, and she's looking at her little steno notebook, and she's like flipping through and basically reading off her notes. So while I was in there, I saw, pull up my real notes here. So there were a couple of things that were going on in Hert's apartment. First of all, the place had been tossed. It wasn't ransacked, but the place had been tossed. Someone had been there before looking for stuff. I found, out of character, Lowell, remind me, did I find like a piece of paper or something that referred to the Order of 1,000 Hands?
Yes, and I believe you had that. It's kind of in code, but I think we've got somebody with some cryptography.
Yeah, that's not me.
Does anyone have cryptography that wants to make a spend for that?
I have cryptography.
Okay. Do you want to make an academic spend?
Yes, I will do that.
So you'll take a look at this. It's very clearly, it's some ritual materials for this Order of the 1,000 Hands. It has the look of maybe Hurt has lifted this. Clearly not perhaps things that are supposed to leave the premises. There is an address on it. And it's talking about searching for a lost ritual item, a way to see through the world, called the Chrono Chorazon.
So while I was in there poking around, a couple of goons came in. I heard them coming and went out the window, walked along the ledge into the next apartment. Oh, that was the other thing. I noticed a bit of the stench of death coming from that direction. When I broke into that apartment, I found their window was on, the window was open, but so I went in there mainly to wait for the goons to get out. But I found a body in that room, and it had been dead for 3 days. One other weird thing, there was this like weird, it's like the glass in Hert's window. There was a circular area where the glass had been, it was weird. It was like, it was rough and it was bubbly, almost as if it was blown, but not like it was, perhaps partially melted. And then when I was in the other apartment, I saw more of these like scorch marks on the walls and also on that window as well. I took some photos of the body. I don't know who was there. I don't know who lived there yet. Also, I picked up a couple of books that had Hert's nameplate in them. Apparently this neighbor had borrowed them, figured they might be important. So I grabbed those. I was also like pressed my ear against the wall and was listening to the goons like talk to the building supervisor, who I guess came in behind them. And they said something along the lines of, one of the goons said, "Got to call Marlene. I'm sorry, we got to call Marianne. Hert's not here." Money was exchanged, and I think they got my name from the supervisor.
You gave them your real name.
At that I look around to see if I see any goons that might have followed me here.
No, none of the goons that are here are following you.
Goons are just here to enjoy the sweet, sweet automat.
Absolutely. It's a little bit cooler in here.
Yeah, it's cooler in here, and Horn and Hard Art, they have some of the best blueberry pie in New York City.
There's a goon sitting here at the table with you, enjoying a nice slice of lemon meringue pie.
We know I was followed too. And I was actually able to double back and see get a license plate from the person who followed me. I don't know if anybody has any law enforcement connections that they could try and see if they can find who this license plate is registered to.
Well, I've got a few. I do have a few connections down at the 29th precinct back when I was mostly doing the the police beat. The newspaper I was working for, like, thought it was great to send a lady to follow up with the police, but I actually know how to talk to them.
Very good. And I give you the number.
I jot it down.
Anything else, Woodrow?
Oh, yes. Also, I did wind up talking to an architect, and the architect pointed to me, and the architect I got tipped off to by the first professor I talked to. The professor of architecture told me that Hurt had come to him a few days ago. He was interested in a building called the Coleman Building that I believe is still under construction. And also that there was an architect that named Shelley Fontaine, who had been responsible for building, or at least originally planning the building. And it seems like those were things that he was very interested in, learning more about.
Yes, well, we were not followed. I think we can all guess why. Went to visit an associate of mine. Great pickles, by the way. I highly recommend visiting his shop. Don't go there if you don't actually have money. Will regret that decision. But
It was very nice. He let us take this knife.
Elena, I paid for it.
Why did you pay for it?
He's billing me.
That seems, but you're not going to pay the bill.
No, I will. I need this connection.
Please continue. I'm sorry.
Thank you. So we have a knife, by the way, that I bought that Elena is keeping. It's a ritual knife, but anyway, what did I find out? Well, Hurt was very interested in this cult called the Cult of is it 1,000 Hands?
Yep.
Sorry. Cult of 1,000 Hands. It has a lot of political connections. Different factions within the Turkish government. Do not like that aspect of it. You don't mess with politics here. I'll glance over at Elena. It was investigating it. Recently went to my associate again to say that something was released and sent after Hurt, and Hurt was trying to find ingredients to make a portal to another world, presumably to escape to. Is all a bit far-fetched. What do you think, Elena? Anything you want to add?
I mean, it seems foolish to escape through a portal when you could pull something out to eat your enemies. I agree. Very far-fetched. This Hurt sounds like a coward.
Wait a minute, a portal to another world? I mean, this isn't a Wells novel.
Apparently it is.
There are things here. We all know this. That's why we do this, right? Things in the world, things outside it.
Well, clearly, but interesting. Portals to other worlds. And I thought we were mainly chasing ghosts.
And out of character, I don't remember the information that we got on the building. I don't think I wrote that stuff down.
Which building?
I don't think we did. I think that was wasn't that Woodrow?
No, the building that collapsed. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
isolate
sorry.
themselves?
Yeah. I thought you were talking
So
about the Clinton building.
basically, there had been an incident back in the 20s that had been ascribed to foreigners, and the police raiding that. It turned out that in fact it was money spent by this cult to put those people in harm's way as a means of sacrifice. That was the incident that happened in Red Hook about 12, 13 years ago.
And out of character, that's sort of the events of the Lovecraft story, the horror at Red Hook. Okay.
But yeah, and that's clearly what started Hurt looking into this was kind of following up, what had gone on there and how this cult had been involved.
I'll relay that as well.
Yeah. So we should go to the collapsed building then?
You should.
That sounds like the next logical step. See what we can find there.
Let's pause here. Let's take 10. When we come back, we'll make a list of locations and leads and figure out how we want to proceed. Sound okay? Okay, so let's take 10. So I put a quick list of things in the chat that I saw as leads, and Mike had another one. So I put research cult and the Chronochorazon, checking out the Red Hook site, going to the location of this cult because you've got the address for the Cult of the Thousand Hands, the Coleman building itself, following up on the license plate, following up on the guy who actually, not John Brayers, but the guy who hired John Brayers, that Strauss guy, and then the identity of the dead guy in the next apartment. I will actually put a cap on that for you, Mike, in that's a neighbor, borrowed books from him. Clearly, whatever it was sent after Hurt was tuned to Hurt's objects and things like that.
Got it.
Anything else that probably belongs on that list?
Sort of like following up in that light regarding the dead guy and the stuff that Hurt has. Were any of the 3 books that I took from his apartment, were any of those particularly interesting to our investigation, or was whatever? Because yeah, I was thinking that he had something that was Hurt's, and whatever was sent after Hurt got this guy by mistake.
You have a cult, right?
I do.
Okay, then I think that one of them is a book of Machen's poetry. Another one is kind of a weird volume of esoterica, but the last one does seem like more of a book of, it's not a full book of spells, but it's certainly a book talking about like other places and gates and things like that. It's not a formal book, but it looks like maybe something put together from the pages of a bunch of books, kind of bound together.
So it's a book about magic and portals, even though it doesn't actually have any spells in it.
Yeah. You might be able to piece something together from it at the cost of some sanity, rather stability. So how do the four of you want to divide? Do we want to kind of do a once around and checking in on things, or do we want to go in pairs, or do we want to go as a group? What do you feel like? Agatha, what do you think?
It seems like this game is made to keep splitting people up to gather information. So I kind of feel like we should probably keep doing that, unless some people want to pair up.
I was going to say the things that are probably like really dangerous, we should probably do as a group. But yeah, I think doing the information gathering. I think if we split up to each like investigate a thing and then come back, compare notes, kind of like what we did in the previous round, I think is probably the best way to do it. Hopefully we won't run into too much danger.
Hopefully.
I mean,
Although I'm thinking, I mean, look on this list, like that Red Hook, the Red Hook site and the cult location seem like they might be dangerous places, and we might want to all go together.
or at least like in pairs. I also think that like there's this trade-off between like, well, we can get more information if more of us go in less time, if more of us go more different places, but also like it's fun going places with other people because then you get to do things with other people and that's fun. Like
That
I
is
had
true.
fun with Harry before. So like that's, another consideration.
Very true.
So
If-
I would say maybe the Red Hook site and the Coleman building are probably places you want to pair up to go, just because you don't exactly know what's going to be there. The cult location, if you go there, you probably want everybody to go. And other things can be done individually.
So speaking as Olena, I would like to, forget I don't know about these talking to people and looking things up in libraries and whatever this Chrono Crozon business is. But I would like to go someplace where something happened and see if we can figure out what happened and maybe make it happen again. That is Olena's little speech that she gives to the table. So that's I guess the Red Hook site or the cult location, right? That's sort of with those two. And I would very much like it if one or more of you came with me.
Okay, sorry. Is the Coleman building, just to clarify, the Coleman building is where Hurt lived, or
No, it
keep
is
getting all these sites
Oh,
confused?
sure.
I'm so sorry.
No. That is a building that Hurt was looking into. It's a building that's under construction. You're still not sure how that fits in with everything, except that the architect of it has vanished and that Hurt was looking into it. It's in a very different part of town than Red Hook. It's in a much nicer part of town.
Yeah, which one of us looks nice? Well, okay. Harry's going to say, well, I'm a refined type. I can go look into the Coleman building. Isn't that right, Professor? You and I, we have knowledge.
Yes, I'd like to come with you to the Coleman building. Just keep following that up.
Olena, I will join you to investigate the Red Hook site.
Excellent. I look at your sort of like steno notebook and pen, right, that you presumably still have out on the table, and say, maybe keep your hands free.
Not a bad idea. I could perhaps not a bad idea. And at that point, she like goes through her purse and like pulls out like a neck strap for her camera that she doesn't put it around her neck, but she readies it so that she can drop her camera and it's not going to like smash on the ground.
Yeah, you have a preparedness of 12, so you have a big purse.
Yep.
So in that case, let's start with Red Hook, and then we'll come to the Coleman building. And so you will head up to this part of New York.
I'm guessing we'll take the subway.
Yeah, it's
cheaper than a cab.
Yeah, there's a subway. It goes out to that area, and then there's probably a little bit of walking once you get on site.
Red Hook is notoriously difficult to get to by public transit. I imagine that was also probably even more true then.
Yeah. It's a very dense industrial area. We talked about the ports and things last time, and the residential buildings that are there, these kind of big large scale housing buildings that are scattered around the area. And once you get into the area, you start to see a lot more evidence of the kind of ethnic enclaves that live in these areas. Syrian, Turkish, Armenian, Eastern European, Greek. There's a variety of these places. A lot of small businesses and things that are set up there, but there's still that kind of ever-present feel of the unemployed, of the people who still can't get a job. We're still at the tail end of the Depression, and the WPA projects, are in different places than here. In fact, what you've got is that the city has been flooded for a number of years by people fleeing from the South up here to try and find jobs and a place to live, and that has put a lot of pressure on the city, and a lot of social pressure. Harlem and the Harlem Renaissance has kind of given way to a real change in demographics up there, and here you can kind of see that. But you will make your way here, hot summer afternoon. And I think, Sarah, whereas you might be a little bit nervous, I think people take a look at Elena and they don't wolf whistle, they don't hoot, they don't shout at you. I think, does that seem reasonable? I think, Elena, with the way that you carry yourself.
Yeah, I think so. I'm wondering, all right, I do not have a high preparedness. I have no preparedness. So I'm wondering if do I need to make a roll to have the knife concealed somewhere about my person?
Oh no, you can definitely have the knife on you.
Yeah. Well, mostly I want it's not on me, but also the it's concealed. It's not visible.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, preparedness is like pulling like Batman
Right,
pulling out it's Batman
gear.
pulling out the it's Batman pulling out the bat belt shark repellent.
Right. So I'm not expected to be able to pull out a weapon, so I have one. It's sort of just what I'm saying. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think I probably, if there's a criminal element here, like I may even be familiar to some of them. Right. The thing about a big city is that it's just lots of smaller cities.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is a smaller city that I'm kind of familiar.
Yeah, and you have Streetwise.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to find out if you want to know who the criminal people are here, you probably know where to go, who to talk to, who's running the numbers, who's running the neighborhoods, what are the signs of that. what bosses are holding things together around here. I think you will, I think the sort of camera shot comes in when you reach that area where that building collapsed, and this is 10, 12 years ago. But you're a little surprised to see that the area is completely cleared. Like, there's no material left there. There's no stones. There's no nothing. Nothing's been built on the area, but it's clearly been cleared. It's a little odd that nothing has been built there, and that it's been so cleanly removed off the map.
So is there like so like the building would have been built on top of like a basement, right? A foundation with a basement. Is it been filled in? Is there like like is that still is the pit there? Like what's?
Yeah, I think you walk over and take a look at whoever cleared the area, like cleared out, like dug up the foundation, and has kind of left like a pit here. There are some fences around, like warning people not to cross over. And it's not in great shape, of course, because they pulled up like all of a lot of the reinforcements and stuff. And there's, when it rains, the water just gathers there.
Yeah, I sort of like spit down at the fence, and I look up at Sarah, and I say, well, this seems like it was a waste of our time.
Well, we could take Sarah looks around and says, well, we could try to take a closer look, see if there's anything down there.
I mean, we'll of course we'll look around, but there's nothing here as I start to climb the fence, or just like push over the fence, I guess. Like, how flimsy is it?
It's pretty flimsy. You can tell people go through here.
Yeah.
It's an easy crossway between blocks.
Mm-hmm.
If you kind of scoot along through the fence line and you kind of step over, you can see where water has kind of gathered in there, and there are probably like mosquito ponds there, and gnats and that kind of thing. And you can take a look into here. Do either of you have architecture?
I don't think so. No, do not have architecture.
How about craft, or like?
I have craft.
Why don't you make a craft spend for me here?
Sure. I will spend from technical.
You walk around kind of the outside of this. You can see the outlines of the building, the base and the basement things. Whoever came in here to like clear the site, they cleared it weirdly. Like, as you said, they should have cleared the site and then backfilled it in with dirt. And they certainly should,
or at least like bulldozed everything into the hole.
Yeah. But like, they clearly demoed the stone walls and floors for the basement and took that. Well, and that makes no sense. You just wouldn't do that. It's not worth it. That's not worth the energy or time to do that kind of thing.
I say to Sarah, I say, this is not right. There's somebody wanted the building, and they didn't just knock it down, they took it.
That's real. That is indeed very, very odd.
I've blown up a lot of buildings, Sarah. You Sarah, leave it there. You don't take it with you.
Sarah regards Olena with a look of respect and maybe just a little hint of fear. At that, Sarah's going to take she's going to pull she's going to pull an ever ready flashlight out of her purse, and it's going to like shine down there into the shadows just to see if she can see anything more down there.
What do you think you want to use? Like, what investigation skill I think is you're trying to kind of lean on here?
I think the only thing that could even be remotely here to try to like figure out what's going on would be evidence collection.
Well, how about this? How about I kind of turn this a little? You're standing there on the edge, kind of looking flashlight, and I think you'll look over and you'll see that there are a couple of people, clearly locals, who like are standing at a ways away by the fence, and clearly like looking at you two out of place people. Well, you more than Olena, but and kind of watching you, and they look old, and they're kind of muttering to themselves.
I will. I'll look at Elena, nod, and I'll just say, I bet those guys saw something.
Yeah. Do you want to talk to them?
Yeah. I want to talk to them. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I sort of wander over or follow Sarah over and stand behind her, looking kind of intimidating.
Hello. So this is like two older men.
Older woman and a man.
I have a thought, but let Sarah go ahead.
Well, good afternoon. My name's Sarah. We're trying to figure out what might have happened here a long time ago. We've heard some rumors. Wondered if you knew what it. I mean, we know the official story, but I think there's more going on here. What have you seen about this place?
I would love to give them just kind of like a kind of wild grin from over Sarah's shoulder, and be doing an intimidation spend to get them to answer Sarah's question. Like I'm not going to say a word, but to get them to answer Sarah's questions.
And here I was going to go with reassurance, but
I think the two would counteract.
Yeah,
I think that like the guy looks nervous, the woman's a little less nonplussed, and she'll say, "Got a smoke, cigarette?"
Oh yeah. Pull out. Oh yeah, I pull out a pack. This is Sarah. She opens a cigarette case and she opens a cigarette case and like just kind of like gestures and like, and then also
fancy. I think she reaches forward and with practiced fingers she takes three, pops two in her pocket and takes the other one, and
I will light it for her with a Zippo.
So you're an odd pair.
Oh, and I'll light a cigarette myself.
I've got.
I offer Elena one. Oh, you've got one.
No, I'll take it. I'll
Okay.
take it. I start to take out like a little stubby half-smoked cigar that I'm going to relight, but I put it away and take the cigarette from you.
I mean, it's the 30s. Cigarette. I mean, cigarettes are cheap and plentiful.
Mm-hmm.
What is it you want to know? What is it? What are you looking for? Odd couple.
It looks like somebody like. So we know there was a building here that collapsed.
Knocked down, blown up. You hear all kinds of stories about what happened.
Yeah. After that happened, who came in to like clear the area, and what did they do with the material?
No one for years. For years, They left it big lot, a mess. Every once in a while, someone would go missing. Rumors that they tried to climb around in that place, hurt themselves. There's no money to fix up things up here.
Sarah nods at that knowingly.
But then 3 years ago, bright early morning, construction people, not the kind you see around here, like real construction. Block off the street, and they spend days just taking the material and hauling it off, story by story, part by part, taking everything. And
They loaded it. What, they loaded it onto dump trucks and carted it off? Or-
yeah, loaded onto trucks, headed off. I talked to someone who said they took it all to a warehouse, but I don't know if that's true or not. That like locals came to see if they needed labor, day labor, anything, any kind of job, but they wouldn't hire anyone around here. They had people on site that kept people away. And I mean, here's the thing is you knew there had to be bodies in there.
Right.
No one had ever come to clean that up. But they took away everything. And the guy says, tell him about the hands.
The hands.
She says, so they wouldn't let us near it, but we're here all the time watching it. They're hauling these things away. And a few times people caught sight of them taking the bodies that they found. And at this point, rotted skeletons of bodies away, probably dumping them in some mass grave somewhere. There were people who were upset about that, people who had relatives who were in there, but no one would answer any questions. But here's the thing. None of the bodies had hands. Not one of them that anybody saw.
Now these trucks, the construction crew that came to clean up the place, and
Not from around here. I don't even
Did
know
they-
if they were from New York. I had the sense that they were brought in from outside.
I
Real
was,
money.
I was going to
at
ask,
work.
did the trucks have like a name? Did they have a logo or a name or anything on them?
No,
Or were
no,
they,
not-
or were they conspicuously nameless?
These are people that didn't want to know people to know who had done these things. But they had to take it somewhere. They had to make arrangements with people. Well, there's got to be some trail. But for here, for us, they tell us nothing.
I think I say they tell you nothing, but you see a lot.
As I said, there were some people who came by, some people who watched. You're not the first people to come and ask about this thing.
Who else have come asking? And was it recently?
There was uh, a young man who came by handing out money a few weeks ago. But
Did you catch his name?
you all look alike. But he didn't say it's scholar. It's not a guy who ever worked a day in his life. And then there were some people who came by. When they asked questions, they didn't ask and give us cigarettes, and they didn't give us money. They strong-armed people. These are old people from the old world who are here. I think they didn't know who took the stuff from the site, and I think they were upset by that. The evil eye on them. I could tell. There used to be some of them who ran around in here before the whole building went down. It was them again. You can tell by the way they held themselves.
So
How
it was
did
the
they-
same people. It was the people who used to work in the build, who like used to do things in the building before it collapsed. It was the same sort of people.
There were people who bought people before the building went down. And it was them. It was those vultures back again. Jesse, you were going to say something?
I was just it's okay.
I'm going to cut away from you two over to the Coleman building site. I think this is probably maybe a taxi ride over. Nicer part of town. You're head up a ways and you get to the Upper East Side. These are the places where the promise of construction and the new America still goes on. I think that you two will get out and make your way over to a building where you can see there is, a construction fence around the outside perimeter. And it's clearly going to be maybe a 15, 16 story tall building, of which the first maybe 11 or 12 floors seem to be done. There's still scaffolding up there. And Woodrow, would you please mark a sanity?
Because this is what I saw in my dream.
This is what you saw in your dream. Like, you can even see like the beam up in the, like at the top, that there's like a little like flag tied to it. And you kind of take a step back as you get that vertigo feeling here.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna like kind of stop in my tracks for a minute there, for sure.
And there's clearly work going on. Like there are multiple huts, construction huts on site, and there's clearly work going on, and noise and such. How do you two want to approach this?
When Woodrow stops, I'll also stop and just kind of like look up. Oh, would you look at that? Progress. And I want to. I have architecture, but I don't know how to apply that. Like maybe I just want to like walk around and see if there's anything that seems out of the ordinary.
Yeah. Let's have you make a investigative spend from your architecture. So from the academic pool.
Yep, I have done so.
This is very weird. This is a weird design to the building. And you're kind of walking and looking through the fence and things like that. And you can see that they're doing some odd things with how they're like mixing up the concrete that they're hauling up there. And you can also see there's a lot of like there's the usual scaffolding and what the things for lifting up like I-beams and wall sections and things like that, but they've got a set of rigging for lifting up some unusual things like and it looks odd, and it almost looks to you like what they're using for pieces and parts here is a lot of like reclaimed materials.
Now that's a weird one.
And I think you would
Also-
know with architecture, I'll tell you one other thing, because I think this falls into this. You would know if there's somebody you want to talk to, that there probably is a foreman who's on site who is like a professional class person who you could probably talk to as well.
Right. I kind of actually, this is a question for Woodrow. Like, are you a professor or no?
Well, I mean, I have a PhD, but I work at a planetarium, not like at a college.
Okay, Harry will definitely call you prof.
Yeah.
Would you look at that, prof? It's not a new building that they're trying to make. See all those rigs pulling up the. These look like parts from an older building that they're trying to stick into this.
Interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that. Hey, Harry, would you do me a favor if I asked you something a little strange?
Sure, you did me a favor.
Yeah. Can we not? Can we make sure, if we can, that Elena never comes here?
Now you can't just bait me with a request like that, prof.
Well, I don't know. It may be nothing, but I had kind of a dream, kind of a premonition, and I felt like I was here before with Elena, and something bad happened.
You don't want to come here with Elena.
No, I don't think Elena should ever come here. Just to be on the safe side. It's probably nothing, but I don't know. Better safe than sorry, I guess.
What was in your dream? Was it kind of sworn enemy of Elena's? And I'll start like walking towards like.
Hmm. Well, no. It was more like an accident, maybe.
Accident? Did she accident you or did you accident her?
She fell. So yeah, I think it's probably best if she doesn't come here. I wouldn't normally put a lot of stock in that, but this just looks a little bit too close to what I saw in my dream, and pretty sure I've never been here before.
Hmm. Well, take a look at these arms, prof. These are weak arms. I don't know if I can hold her back if she wants to go anywhere.
Well, I know, but maybe we can just try and discourage her from coming here. That's all.
Sure. I give my word to try to discourage her.
That's good enough.
I think the two of you will hear the whoo, end of day whistle go off, and you'll see people starting to like dismount from the building, come down, and with their lunch pails and stuff, and are starting to like gather up to shut down the site for the day.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Actually, well, my question is, Woodrow,
Sure.
did you want to do? No, I wanted to just know if Woodrow wanted to do anything. Because what Harry would do is like go find like the foreman or something. Like, my questions.
Sure. Yeah, let's do that.
Cool. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think, yeah, you can kind of walk in, the laborers are heading off. There's a guy, in a tie, uh, who is clearly checking things out. You see he's got, some rolled up plans under his arm, and he's kind of just talking with the supervisors to get a sense of like where things are finished up for the day. And he'll see the two of you approaching, and you look like, like your gentleman, and he'll say, I can help you, sirs.
Ah, yes. You're just the man I'm looking for. And I'll reach over and like over friendly, kind of like clapping him on the shoulder.
Well, good. How can I be of service to you, Mr.
Brown.
All right, Mr. Brown. How can I help you?
Well, you look like a man in charge, and I have some questions about this building. See, my wife and I were looking to move, and she's very interested in this, but it's my wife. I need to find out more.
Interested in it? I don't think this is a residential building. It's certainly not designed that way.
Oh, it's not.
No, somebody's been misinformed.
Well, the missus will certainly be disappointed. What's it for then?
You see him stop. And you see him kind of like turn over in his mind. And he says, it's more of a multi-purpose building, he says, in a way that tells you that he maybe doesn't quite understand what the building's for. Think it might be, some of it's given over to office space, and there's some, I think maybe entertainment space. And I know that there are some private apartments for bigwigs, but it's sort of multi-purpose.
So it is residential.
Well, it's not residential in the sense that you could rent an apartment or anything like that. I think it's for the company, the group that owns it.
Ah, this is already owned by a company. What's the company?
And you see him kind of pause, like maybe he isn't sure exactly how to answer that. He says, it's owned by the Humboldts, which you'll recognize as the name of a wealthy New York family.
Ah, so not for the likes of us.
No, not for the likes of me. Certainly, sir. I wouldn't make assumptions about you or your associate here.
Oh, I wouldn't sell them. I wouldn't sell yourself short. Look at you in charge of this big operation. I think you look like you know what you're doing. I'd like to spend a point in flattery.
Yeah,
to get more info
says,
out of him.
Yeah, you think so, but I'm actually the third person they've had in charge of the building site. Had a lot of accidents.
Accidents. And I'll, I guess, take out a cigarette too. And it seems like the proper time to smoke a cig and offer one as well.
Oh, he'll take it. Yeah, it's just we actually lost. I mean, everybody needs a job. Things are tight, but we've actually lost some people here. People say that at the site's haunted. We've had, people get hurt on these jobs. 10 men, people out on the pyres, things like that. That always happens. But we've had more than usual. And the two guys who were running the job before me, one of them took a tumble late at night going up and checking some welds and slipped. And the other guy, they had a pallet come down on him. It's just the lines broke. Freak accident. Plus this architect, the woman who designed this, we haven't seen her in weeks. She went missing. She used to come down to the site and look at stuff, but she's gone. And we had that break-in the other night. This is weird place. I wouldn't want to live here. I'm going to tell you that.
Yeah, from the sound of it, it seems not worth an investment.
Yeah, but you get people like the Humboldts, and they can do whatever whim they have.
But you had a break-in, you say? What did they take?
They didn't take anything, but they got in over the fence and they busted essentially the front door locks that we have, and made their way up to, and he points up to the top, and did some I don't know if the word graffiti is applicable at this age. I'm not sure when that word came into play, but he says put some graffiti up at the top.
Wow, that must be some young lads with too much time on their hands.
Yeah, I think might be foreigners, because I certainly didn't understand anything that they wrote.
Do you think it'd be sorry, good.
No, go ahead.
Woodruff?
Do you think it would be possible for us to take a look at this graffiti?
So how do you want to, like, what's the interpersonal you think you're using here to convince him to do that?
I'm not good at this. The only thing I have that's like irrelevant is like reassurance. I'm not
Yeah.
sure
So how are you framing that? Like, yeah, you can make a spend for that. How are you reassuring him that like nobody's getting into trouble or anything like that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think like I'm gonna say like, we're not interested in anybody really knowing what we're, that we're looking into this either. So I think you can rest easy if you just gave us a little private tour, nobody'd ever hear about it. And I'll try and like give him like a $5 bill.
Do you have credit rating?
Oh no, my credit rating's bad. Guess I can't give him a $5 bill.
Like yeah, you're not familiar with bribery.
By the way,
that's not
$5 in 1936 would be like offering him like $90 today.
Yeah, I know.
decent thing.
That's about what I would give somebody today.
Harry, do you want to like offer him some money?
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. So would I also spend?
No, I think he's already made the reassurance spend. If you're willing to put your money on the line.
Of course I am. I still have a lot of money from the envelope that we were paid with.
Yeah.
And I've basically taken it as my own now. So I feel very free with this.
Absolutely. Okay. Let's grab some flashlights and I'll take you on up there. But you can't tell anybody that we did this, all right? Humboldt's, like, it's like you came here. I'm going to close up the shop, and in a couple of hours they're going to have security guys here. They put them in place. So yeah, let's walk on up. We've got most of the stairwells intact, but you're going to have to do a little clambering up for the last part. Both of you up to for that?
Sure.
Arms are made for climbing.
And I think he will start to take you up those stairs. Let's take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back. So let's come back to Elena and Sarah. What's your next step?
Okay, so these people knew that. So these people told us that somebody, a quote real unquote construction company, had gathered all the materials and carted it away, but there was no logos on the trucks, and they weren't, and they couldn't figure out who these people were.
Correct.
I mean, there's got to be someone around here. I think I say this to Sarah. I think so. There's always someone comes and does business like that in a neighborhood like this.
Someone's got to know who they are.
Someone is getting paid not to know who they are.
That's a good point.
And
That's a good point.
I'm wondering, well, if I can use Streetwise to try to like dig up an underground connection here.
Absolutely.
Criminal connection here.
Yeah. Make that spend.
Mm-hmm. What's happening here? There we go. Okay. Spent.
And I think you'll ask around, and people will, you know, who would I talk to about these things? Who's the guy to know? Who is that? And I think if it eventually, you know, a couple of the times the name gets repeated, and they say, you go to talk to Caleb, you go down to Caleb's Laundry, down to walk down into a place where you eat, go back, you get cleared, and you talk to Caleb. He'll, if he wasn't in on it, he'll know what's going on.
Yeah. So I think we followed.
Yeah.
Presumably we should follow those instructions, right, Sarah? Yeah. So Caleb's Laundry. Caleb, what's Caleb look like?
You will, you know, walk down into this place. It smells of like home cooking and spices and cumin, and it smells good. Like your stomach growls when you go down into here. There are people seated there, and there are what you recognize as heavies, who, in a sign of mutual respect, stand up when you approach, and kind of do the gesture of, you know, let me pat you down.
Sure. Do I have to make a conceal roll for them not to find my knife?
Yep.
What's the target there?
I think just a 3, because you've spent some time getting this in place beforehand pretty carefully.
Sure. I can spend points after. So I'll start with spending 1 point.
No, you can only spend points before.
No, that's my special thing.
Oh, that's right.
Like my special is I can spend conceal.
That's right.
Filter shadowing after rolling, but it's double cost.
Yeah. So let's have you roll.
So I'm going to spend 1 for now.
Okay.
Sorry, from the wrong pool there. Where did I put too many tabs? Well, that's a 4. That's a 3.
Okay, that's exactly what you needed.
Great.
So you will come and sit down, And let me grab a picture for you here. Let's grab a. Well-dressed black gentleman. Seated there, and he sees the two of you, and he looks, makes sure that his people have patted you down, and he gestures for you to sit down.
I do so.
Yeah. Is this like a table, a counter?
It's like a table, like he's got a kind of table towards the back.
Yeah, sure.
Ladies, how can I help you?
I kind of I think I start to take the lead and I say the building that was exported from the neighborhood. You know the one?
Yes. Russian? Are you Russian?
I spit. And I say Ukrainian.
Ah. My apologies. The accent is hard for me to place.
It's fine. It's fine. I sort of put my foot and sort of like I'm kind of wiping up the spit with my shoe as sort of an apology, but it just sort of pushes it around the floor. And I say, so who took it? You know everything here.
Well, I certainly do.
Or so we've been told.
You see him gesture over for somebody to bring some plates of food over to you. Can I ask what your interest in it is? And if you tell me that, clear with me, maybe I can answer your question just as clearly.
I exchange a long glance with Elena, raise an eyebrow, as if to say, is it okay to level with this guy?
I shrug as I sort of like start digging into the food on my plate. I think that like I just stepping outside for a second, just like I suspect that like you're certainly free to tell him like that we've been hired for this guy from my perspective, but that's not, I think, my real interest anymore. Right.
We are investigating a missing person who we believe may have had an interest in the goings on, and we're basically trying to follow his steps. And we think that he may have poked his nose into places he shouldn't have, and we're trying to figure out what those places might have been.
May I ask the name of this missing gentleman?
Yes. Yes, his name is Alanquin Hurt.
I am familiar with Mr. Hurt. I have met him. He has come and asked me much the same question that you are asking me.
Seems like we're always 2 steps behind the fucker, I say with a mouthful of food.
He looks at you like, all right. He turns back to address you. He says, well, if he's gone missing, that's a pity. He seemed like a enthusiastic gentleman who was willing to talk to people and pass out a little money to indulge his interests. The materials that were here were taken by some people who didn't want people to know that they took them.
That we gathered.
Yeah. But it was enough money that went around that it raised my interest and the interest of some others. And there was some concerns that maybe some things of value might have been taken away. So I had some people look into where it was being taken. And turns out that one of New York's finest families, the Humboldts, had spent the cash to have out-of-towners brought in to do the work, do it fast, and have it ported away to some warehouses. This is a few years ago. It was very strange, to say the least.
Interesting. Humboldts, you say?
Yes, certainly when I informed Mr. Hurt, he seemed shocked by that revelation. I'll tell you something else that I didn't tell Mr. Hurt.
Sarah leans in.
When I had my associates shadow the trucks, shadow the vehicles taking it to the warehouse, they were a little chagrined by the organization of that was going on, the pulling of the pieces and sorting them into places here. But they were more than shocked by the fact that they were keeping the bodies.
What kind of state were the bodies in?
Desiccated. It had been almost a decade since the building had come down on them.
But dried, not rotted.
Dried, rotted, rat-eaten, anything you can imagine. They stacked them up like cordwood.
That's more than a little disturbing.
I would say more than a little, yes. Well, does that help you? I hope perhaps I've maybe given you information that you can use.
It is extremely helpful. Thank you very much. And this is delicious. My compliments to the chef.
Good. You wouldn't be Olena Zelenko, would you? Because
Not
you
the
sort of
name on
match the
It's not
description.
the name on my passport.
Oh, that you have a passport is perhaps something of a shock to me. I have heard that you are a woman of uncommon skill with explosives.
I have blown some things up and I am still here, yes.
And that is uncommon skill. Well, it is a pleasure to have met you, and I'm pleased that I've been able to do you a favor, and perhaps at some point in the future, Ms. Zelenko, I could call on you for a favor of my own.
If you would ever like me to blow up a police station, I will be more than happy to oblige.
I don't know as it will be that, but I will keep that statement in mind. And he will bid you good day. And I think we cut to Harry and Woodrow, and it's hot, but the wind catches up here. And there's that bit where you've kind of gone up all the stairs that you can. And now the two of you plus this foreman have to climb up these next sets here. Dangerous, precarious. Like, what does that look like, Harry? Like you can see 13 floors down to the city below. Good, clear lines of sight here from the building. What does that look like?
Yeah, I take a look down and I immediately regret it. And I think I like take off my hat to like just like I think it's kind of like a subconscious thing, like taking out my handkerchief and like wiping at my brows again, just like almost like giving myself a break as I'm like recovering. And well, Prof, I certainly didn't think that going to be scaling a building today.
No, I didn't think that either.
And Prof, what do you look like? Are you more used to heights or less used to heights, or what do you think your reaction is?
I don't think I'm particularly used to heights, but I don't think I'm particularly afraid of them either. However, I'm the whole like deja vu kind of experience with my dreams still has me like pretty freaked out. So I'm not probably doing that well psychologically.
And I think the two of you will get up to this top area, and he kind of has you stand, and he says, now we got to kind of walk on these beams over to there, to where the graffiti is. I think, Woodrow, you will also be impressed at how clear the lines of sight are from the top of this. Like you can certainly see up to the sky up above, very open. Not a lot of buildings that are blocking that out. But he will walk you over to this area, and he says, yeah, we were told not to touch that. They actually had the guy come out and take photos. And you can see marked on this beam that kind of goes out. And there's some other beams beside it where you've got like a little bit of structure there, that there are some signs and sigils written around there, marked out, that look not unlike some of the things you briefly saw in that book that Sarah had, that she had found.
Prof, how good at memorizing symbols are you?
Uh, well, I think I can remember these ones. At least I hope. I think I can.
Great. Great. Actually, I have a question. Is there a way for me to try to figure out what it might be saying? I do not have a cult. However, I do have anthropology, archaeology, history, law. I don't know if any of those. I also have accounting, if that makes do anything.
I think anthropology will tell you that, like, if you want to make a spend on that,
Okay.
like you kind of look and you realize and Woodrow will realize this, that there's a pretty good alignment of where this I beam out is towards like where the sun is setting. And you kind of walk a little ways back so you can kind of look across and look down the beam as the three of you are standing there, and you're thinking about Stonehenge and how clocks are done and the shadows and things. And I think you kind of get yourself there. And I think you kind of look and squint, and just as that sun is setting, it sets behind where that beam is at, I think that you, probably you alone, from where you're standing, will see the air flicker, and you will see it shift, and you will see this rift open, and you can see stone, and you can see orange and purple miasma in the background, and behind that, great machines, great industrial plants, something like that. It's like you shouldn't be seeing all of this, but it's like the perspective all comes through and beams into your eyes of this alien place that is through there. Please lose a point of stability. And I think that you kind of like have to jerk yourself back and balance yourself. And when you look again, that vision is gone.
Yeah. I like startle and like slap myself in the face to get my focus.
Is this the same spot in my dream, or is this a different spot?
Oh yeah, this is the same spot as in your
Yeah.
dream.
I'm gonna mention that to Harry. I'm gonna be like, this is the place I saw.
Okay, I'm gonna turn to the foreman.
Mm-hmm.
Did the Humboldts find out about the break-in?
Oh yeah. Actually, Simon Humboldt was down here the next day. He was the one who brought the photographer down. I was a little surprised that I didn't expect that a Humboldt would be willing to clamber up here, but he did.
How did he seem? Did he seem upset or excited?
I think he was surprised. Not upset, not excited, like he was surprised, like this was not something that he was expecting. Maybe even angry. I don't know. It's hard for me to say. Those people, that class of people, you can never tell what they're really thinking.
It's true. That's certainly true.
Look, it's getting dark. We probably, before it gets too dark, I'd like to get down and.
Yes, thank you for this majestic tour. Could you just hold. I think I'm.
Yeah.
Be studied for a second.
Yes, just study yourself.
Thank you. And out of character, Woodrow, did you have anything else that you wanted to do?
Well, I'm just gonna ask, are you okay?
Prof, I have seen things.
What kind of things?
Talk when we're in less physical danger.
Okay.
And I think you will descend, and I think that is where we're going to stop for tonight. Does that sound okay? If you don't mind, I would like to do a quick stars and wishes. Think about things you liked, things you definitely want to see for next time. Let's see, what was it? What are we did things in on the character keeper? Mike, can I start with you?
Sure. I love these characters. For stars, just stars all around. I love these characters. I think they are really, really fun. Oh man. Jesse, Elena is just hilarious. I just love seeing what you're doing with her. It was really fun having some scenes with her. That was fun. And Agatha, I'm just really enjoying like what you're doing with Harry. He's just so weaselly, and I absolutely love that. John, the like Woodrow the astronomer, really again, really fun character. I'm just really enjoying playing with all of you. I just want to call out Jesse, just having just Elena's like reaction, and just kind of casually dropping the fact, oh yeah, I blow up buildings. What you want to You want me to blow up a police station? Sure, I'll blow up a police station. Oh yeah. That's just anarchy and NYC. And Lowell, thank you so much for running this. I've wanted to play a longer series of Trail of Cthulhu for a long time, and I'm really enjoying this. It is very sufficiently different from the Gumshoe game I'm most familiar with is Swords of the Serpentine, and this is very different.
Yeah.
Wishes. I am really curious to see what's beyond that portal. I'm also looking forward to having us all get together and actually like do some adventuring with the four of us. I'd like to see that.
I think we've got both the portal and the cult HQ as two like clear places where everyone has to go in.
So yeah, this is I am having a ball. This is a
Good.
very fun game.
Agatha, stars, wishes.
My star definitely goes to you, Lo. I think I really like the way that you tweaked the mechanics, so it's just like less things to keep track of, and like it just feels very intuitive, which I didn't really think was possible for me with Gumshoe games, because I'm just not very good at like keeping track of all these different things. So I like that a lot. And like the NPCs are always very fun. I like that they do feel really distinct. All the different people from the different neighborhoods. So I love like interacting with your NPCs. Well, they always make the place come alive. So love that. I also wanted to give Jesse you a star. I feel like because you came in really strong with your character concept, I think it made it a lot easier actually for me to also get a better idea of my character, because I was just like being able to like bounce it off of you when you were playing Elena. That was actually really, really helpful. So I like that a lot. Yeah, and I do think it was a great suggestion for people to pair up, because I really like seeing the different dynamics between the different characters too, like the interaction, like the way that Elena and Sarah like is also like you function well as a team, and then also like Woodrow and Harry is like it's just kind of cool like seeing like we're very disparate characters, but then everyone is still kind of working together. So I find that really enjoyable in these kind of investigation games. And in terms of wishes, I am very interested in finding out what happened to Alec Hurt. Just seeing him at some point. I don't know. I'm pretty invested in this mystery. And also like possibly meeting at least one of the Humboldts, because they seem to feature very prominently. So all my wishes are like find out more, because I'm like having a lot of fun with that. So
Good. Yeah, we'll definitely get at least one of the Humboldt family on screen. John?
Yeah, I think my stars, like there were a lot of really good role-playing moments. I agree with everything that Agatha just said. Like I think Harry and I made a good team, and that was fun. And also Sarah and Elena. I liked all the kind of bits that Elena did. I agree those were great. Like like when the guy says like you're Russian and she spits, that's great. I liked the way that Sarah also like went out on the ledge on the building. That just seems like such a very like 1930s like thing to do, to go out on the building ledge. And I enjoyed the fact that we got I don't forget who had the idea, but the fact that we got the automat in there, and or an automat. I have actually eaten at an automat in New York
Oh.
City. Dating myself a little bit. Uh, but apparently they closed. The last one closed in '91, so maybe
Wow.
not dating myself that much.
Isn't that one on St. Mark's Place still there? Anyway, sorry, never mind. I think there is still one open. I thought there was as of a couple years ago for sure.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, they may have made a comeback. Like
Yeah.
I think like maybe they were gone.
Could be a revival. That's possible. Sorry. Anyway.
No. And yeah, so those are all stars. And as far as wishes, I mean, I think everything that's been said so far, I agree with. I'd like to, of course, see where the mystery is going. I had not played a gumshoe game before. This is my first one, and I'm enjoying it a lot. And so I can't speak to whether the simplification helped that or not, but I'm enjoying it. The only thing, like I think in terms of my character, for my wishes, I am hoping that, and maybe like it doesn't, not necessarily next session, but at some point that, my secret communist that I'm going to be outed or somehow that's going to bite me.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
That. And yeah, that's it.
You work with an open anarchist, so we can maybe make. I'd like to see us pair. Well, let's say that maybe for my wishes, but
yeah, for sure.
I like that. Jesse?
Yeah. Stars to everybody. This game is awesome. I'm having a really good time. Yeah, I think again the pairings are super fun. I loved being a spectator, watching Agatha and John, Harry and Woodrow like play out those scenes in the Coleman building. Like just tremendous fun. Like John, you coming back to that like character creation bond as like a touchstone to express anxiety about the place, and Harry kind of like humoring him. It's all very good. And then it gets flipped when Harry sees that vision, and Woodrow's got a sort of like, it was so much fun. Really, really loved all of that stuff. And then everything about this. I'm still figuring out how I feel about the system. I wanted to play this because I was curious about Gumshoe. I'm not sure I love Gumshoe, but I feel like it's not even fair for me to judge, because like all of the things are like, well, I'm not sure about this, then like you play a character or like do a thing that makes that not matter. Right. Like, I feel like anyways, that's a different conversation, but like you are just making this work so well for me. Like in particular that scene, this wasn't a systems thing, this is just a wonderful GM moment, but the scene again in the Coleman building, that vision through the portal or whatever into the other world that you gave Harry was so wonderful. I'm so excited to see what happens there. That's great. And like, yeah, playing with Sarah was so much fun. I think we our characters play off each other well. And I think these two very different women walking into this this laundry was just like watching you talk to Caleb and then responding to that. All of that was so much fun. So good stuff there. Wishes. I'm excited to like directly interact with the supernatural. I think I sometimes struggle with these investigative games where like you talk to someone who gets you to talk to someone else who gets you to talk to someone else. And like the characters are fun and lively and they're fun to talk to, but sometimes they're like, okay, well let's see a thing. So I'm really excited to see a thing. As much fun as I've been having with the investigation and the all the other stuff too. That's really cool. And so that's, I guess, my big wish. And yeah, also like I haven't really had any scenes with everybody, and a scene with Elena and Woodrow I think would both be super fun to get some of those dynamics flowing.
Awesome. Yeah, I had a good time running it tonight. I'm really glad you paired up like you did. It was a nice variation. We got that switching out of things. I enjoyed playing the NPCs against you and the creative use of the skills. So I had a good time. So I am going to stop the recording